So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I'd like to appreciate Professor Casey Burnett and also the GTI initiative for inviting me to visit this prestigious university, also attend this important symposium. So today, my topic is impact of the climate change on tea production and the adaptation strategies for sustainability. I will present in 4 aspects. And first, a little bit of the introduction of the climate change. As we know, since the Industrial Revolution, climate change has been taking place. With the increase of the greenhouse gases, and the temperature has been increased by 0.85 degrees on global average since then. And the climate change will continue, and even in great pace. So the IPCC has predicted if the greenhouse gases is no more increased, and the temperature will still increase by 0.6 degrees at the end of this century. But if the greenhouse gases is increased with the current rate, and then the temperature could be increased by 4 to 5 degrees. And the global community want to contain this temperature increase within 1.5 to 2 degrees. But they say it's not an easy job, almost impossible. So this is a general situation. So how to producing area, the climate change. So we select 4 cities in different altitudes in China: Jinan, Kunming, Hangzhou, and Hekou, to see the climate change. So from here, we can see in the last 60 years, the annual mean temperature and annual lowest temperature was steadily increased. And the annual mean temperature has been increased by 1 to 1.6 degrees in different cities. So the temperature increase in the tea area is much higher compared to the global average. And the precipitation in total did not change significantly, but the number of rainy days has been reduced by 11 days, and the atmospheric relative humidity has been reduced by 5%, and more importantly, the monsoon appears later, about 22 days later compared in 1980s. And also, the sunshine time has been reduced by 41 hours annually. I'm not sure this is because of the climate change or because of air pollution. As you know, in China, especially in the last 2 decades, the air pollution, especially in the big cities, is serious. So it also will affect the sunshine time. So within climate change, the extreme weather events like the drought and flooding, and also the frost in the late spring is very frequently and also very seriously affect the tea production. Actually, global warming, climate change is not only taking in China, but here in Davis also the same. For example, here, last month, you have a very warm weather. So the flowers are blooming, but last few days, very chilly weather, definitely. Some flowers will be damaged. And the tea in China is very important. As you know, tea is original from China. So China is the largest tea producer country. And the area and the tea cultivation is 3.1 million hectares. So it accounts for 65% of the world total. And the tea production in last year, 2017, was 2.6 million tons. So it represents 43% of the world's total. And it is estimated that there are 20 million people are involved in the tea industry. A majority are smallholders. Their income is mainly tea. And also tea in China is not only a beverage or an agricultural product, but it is a symbol of Chinese history and Chinese culture. So tea, preserve the tea industry and make it sustainable is very important, is essential in China. So combat the climate change is also one of our priorities. But in terms of the study of the climate change, tea also serves like a model crop for perennial plants, since it is a wide range of distribution and also stable ecosystem and long economic life. At least it has 60 years, But if a tea garden is well managed, even 150 years, the tea garden also can produce high yield and good quality of tea. And more importantly, tea is very rich in secondary metabolites, like the polyphenol, catechin, or amino acids. Those are very easily changed with the environment. So those secondary metabolites could be served as an indicator of the climate change. So that's why even in USA, you are produce very few tea, but the USA government, the National Science Foundation still can fund the tea project, how climate change, the tea quality, and their economic responses. So I'm also one of the participants of this project. So how climate change affects the tea production? So with the increase of the temperature, we can see the tea growing areas would be expanded to high altitudes and high latitudes ecosystems. And the most suitable tea growing area now in the future is expected to decline. For example, in Hangzhou, we produce the highest green tea quality, West Lake Longjing tea. But probably in the future, the quality will be declined. So we need to take some measures. And also the duration of the growing and plucking period will be extended in highland and also in subtropical areas, but not in the tropical areas. And in terms of yield, we set up a yield response model using the historic weather and production data in China. And it shows the precipitation is much more important compared to the temperature. And with the increase of the temperature and also the carbon dioxide concentration, definitely the yield will be increased from, the yield could be increased. And also with the increase of the carbon dioxide, if we elevate the CO2 concentration to 800 ppm, and then you can see the plant height, dry mat, and the root to short ratio will significantly increase. And the yield could be increased by 41% in a pod experiment. Of course, in a field experiment, the yield increase will be much less. Definitely, the extreme weathers like high temperature or low temperature, it will be affect tea growth and development, and definitely will reduce the yield. And quality, as we know, the quality components, including the tea polyphenol, catechins, amino acids, caffeine, and water extracts. But in terms of quality, those components is not always the higher and the better. We need to balance. For example, we need appropriate ratio of the tea polyphenol to amino acids. If tea polyphenol is too high and amino acids is too low, we don't think this is good quality because it's a bitter and very stringent. So I want to talk a little more of this. So if we're consumers, when you're drinking a cup of tea, whether the tea is good or not, whether this tea is suitable for you or not. A simple way is when you're drinking the tea, you should feel comfortable. If you're drinking tea, if you feel too bitter, of course, without sugar and milk, or after you drink, you slow, feel not so comfortable. Even you have a headache or stomach problem, definitely this tea is not good for you, at least. It's a bad tea. So tea actually is a healthful drink. It's not a medicine. So you should enjoy it. Sorry, it's far from the topic. So in terms of increase of the temperature and carbon dioxide, we can say definitely the tea polyphenol will significantly increase, but the amino acids will be reduced. So it's not good for the tea quality, especially for the green tea quality. And from here, we also can see the tea temperism In the low temperature, it is beneficial for the nitrogen metabolism, especially for the amino acid synthesis. But in high temperature, no, it is beneficial for the carbon metabolism, especially for the catechol simple metabolism. And from here, we can see the high temperature will reduce relative genes in the nitrogen metabolism, especially the amino acids, like the glutamic acid or thymine biosynthesis. So high temperature definitely will reduce the amino acids. And on the other hand, the carbon dioxide increase will increase the biosynthesis of the flavonoids. So increase a little bit, it's good, but if it's too much, and then it's not good for the tea quality. So how can we do? No, we also conduct some research. We use the steroid, BR. This is a kind of a plant regulator. We use it as a foliar application. From here, we can see if we use it, it can improve the photosynthesis, also increase its antioxidant activities. So it can increase its against the heat stress. And the melatonin is also kind of a plant, even the human beings regulator. But if we use it as a foliar application, it also can help increase its photosynthesis and reduce its peroxidization of the cytomembrane. And it also can reduce its accumulation of the hydrogen peroxide. And it can improve its activities of the antioxidant enzymes and its related gene express. So it can stabilize the redox status in the plant cell. So it also can improve it from the late spring coldness. We're also developing some foliar anti-freezing agent. If we use this anti-freezing agent, down temperature to 0 degrees, if we use it, we can see the shorts still glow well. But in the control, the shorts is reddish, is already damaged. And how climate change will affect the tea ecosystem? In this, we have done a lot on the soil, how greenhouse gases in tea fields. Now, definitely, with the increase of the temperature, the carbon dioxide, the nitrous oxide will be increased. And the incurrent weather conditions we conduct in the different standard age and different production level. And on the average, the carbon dioxide, the carbon emission is 27 tons carbon annually per hectare. Actually, it is high. And for the nitrous oxide emission, it is decided by a number of factors. And the first one is how much nitrogen you applied. If we apply high amount of nitrogen, for example, 900 kilograms, and then 3.4% of the applied nitrogen will be estimated as a nitrous oxide nitrogen. But if we reduce the nitrogen application to 300 kilograms, and then only 1.4% will be estimated as a nitrous oxide. And also, the nitrous oxide is emitted by both nitrification and denitrification, but mainly by denitrification. So when we apply the nitrogen fertilizer, if the soil moisture is high or saturated, definitely it will increase the nitrous oxide emission. And also the soil pH. So in the neutral soils, the denitrification, the final product is nitrogen gas. But in the acidic soil, especially the tea soil is very acidic. So the final products of the denitrification is not nitrogen gas, but nitrous oxide. So low soil pH produce more nitrous oxide. So we need to increase soil pH a bit. And also, carbon dioxide elevation will affect the microorganism. From here we can see, the ambient or elevated carbon dioxide, whether it's a lysosphere soil or non-lysosphere soil, we can see this soil microbial structure could be separated clearly. So that means with the increase of the carbon dioxide, the microbial structure will be different. It will affect the carbon and the nitrogen transformation in the soil, and definitely it will affect carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide emission. And also we conduct the research with the increase of the carbon dioxide. How is the T-glues and the defense? Actually, T-glues can increase the yield, but the defense can increase the quality, because defense is mainly because of a certain kind of stress. So in this stress, T produce high quality T. So glues and defense, or yield and quality, just like a saucer. One goes up, and the another one, definitely, the other is going down. So here we can see, if we incubate T plants within a short period of 1 month in the elevated carbon dioxide, we can see the glues-related genes will be upregulated. It is beneficial for the glues, but the defense-related genes will be downregulated. It reduces the defense and also reduces the quality. But if we increase the incubation for a longer time, for example, 3 months, the result is just opposite. So the glues-related genes will be downregulated, and the defense-related genes will be upregulated. So actually, this kind of relationship, glues and defense, or yield and quality, is complicated with the increase of the carbon dioxide. So the further research is needed to be done. And also the mineral nutrients, with the increase of the CO2, NPK, magnesium, sulfur, almost every minerals will be reduced for some extent. So it tells us 2 things. One is T quality in terms of the mineral nutrients will be reduced. And the other is in the future, we need more fertilizer. And also it will affect the pests and disease. For example, with the increase of the CO2 concentrations, one disease, and anthracnose, this is very common in the subtropical area in China. But if the CO2 increase, it will increase its incidence. But if we spray the caffeine, it can reduce its incidence. The mechanism is because with the increase of the CO2 concentration, the caffeine concentration will be down. Normally, the caffeine concentration is stable in tea plants, but with the increase of the CO2, it can be down a bit. So if we, this caffeine also plays a significant role in controlling this disease. So if we spray the caffeine outside, and then it can increase its, like, jasmonic acid concentration, also like the LOX enzyme activities, and reduce its incidence. Blister blight, this is very common in tea plantation in the tropical area, but last few years in the subtropical area in China, like Zhejiang province and some counties, is very serious. So that is because of the global warming. So what kind of mitigation and adaptation strategies we need to take? I think we need at least 3 ways. This first is a government policy and strategies. This is for the officials. And the second is research and development for new technologies and techniques. This is for the scientists and professors. And the third one is the community involvement and technology station for the community. So those should be implemented and integrated immediately. The earlier, the better. So in terms of the government policy and the strategies, I think the first one, we need to establish international network, also the national network. In the international level, we also have the climate change working group in the FAO, intergovernmental group on tea. We have done some work, but I don't think it's enough. So I come here, and one is attend this important symposium. The other, I seek for the collaboration with the TRI and also the Global Tea Institute and also the UC Davis, because here, the UC Davis, the agriculture is number one. But in terms of tea research institute, in terms of tea research of science, TRI, I say this is the number one. So we hope we collaborate to get the win-win situation. And also, in terms of the government level, in China, we have a Department of the Climate Change, is in the National Development and Reform Commission. This is a high level. So I think China is the first developing countries to formulate and implement the national climate change program. So in this program, we have policies and strategies, and we also have the targets for the different sectors and also duration. So we have a program. Now for me, I'm interested in the government have some projects. So last year, we applied a project, effects of the climate change on tea agro-ecosystem and the development of the key technology measures, which has been approved by the Ministry of Science and Technology as a key project. This is because of the government policy. And we also applied a project, carbon neutral tea production in China, developing technology system. This is we apply from the FAO as a seed project. So after the seed project is finished, we hope to apply a big projects. And this project is to reduce the carbon emission in the tea field. And also the government should strengthen investment in the field structure, like the soil conservation program, drainage and irrigation program, also the ecosystem diversity and the rebalancing programs. The infrastructure, I think, is effective in combating the climate change. Also, it is cost effective, but the cost, the investment initially is high. So the smallholders can't do it. So the government, I think, should take a part, even a big part. This is some irrigation system and also the anti-fog, fan. And this is the color plates and insecticide lamp to prevent pesticides. We also use unmanned air vehicles to spray pesticides because it is efficient. We also need to promote green and low carbon farming system, like the organic agriculture, green farming, and good agriculture practices, and also the climate smart tea production. So in terms of the organic agriculture, we have done a lot of the research. So in the organic tea garden, the organic matter and also the biomass will be increased with the increased year under the organic management. And this is good for the soil. One is improve the soil quality. Also, it can preserve more water. So it's good for the combat the climate change. And organic tea has a good quality, especially organic tea has a good aroma and also the high concentration of the catechins. But the amino acids is relatively low. So the organic tea garden, we need to apply more nitrogen-bearing organic fertilizer to improve this. In terms of research and development, one of our priorities is developing new models. So the new models should be specific models to predicting the climate change in the tea-producing oils, not generally. Also, the effect on tea production. And the parameters, not only like the temperature or precipitation or the CO2 concentrations, but also the climate extremes. And the impact not should only focus on yield, but more on quality, and also the suitability of the tea growing areas. And also, we need to do more research on the greenhouse gases emission, especially the nitrous oxide emission, to reduce like the amount of the nitrogen applied using controlled release nitrogen and also more balanced nitrogen fertilizer. And we also need to enhancing carbon sequestration in plants, in tea garden, and also in tea soils. We also need to develop new resistant cultivars, like the hot tolerance to the heat and cold, also high resistant to pests and disease, high nutrient use efficiency. Now, this is some of the cultivars developed by TRI. For example, the TRI 301 has a drought resistant and high nitrogen use efficiency, and TRI 108 has a disease resistant. And we also need to improve the soil and water conservation capacity and improve the integrated tea production system, like use a crop tea management, use eco-agriculture models. So in the community level, we need to let the smallholders, farmers, to know how is the climate change and what kind of effects we'll be taking. So what kind of measures we need to take, use the public education and information exchange. We also need to extend the mitigation and adaptation strategies. But sometimes the climate change, especially the extreme weathers, the technologies does not work. So we also need to develop some insurance schemes to minimize the meteorological disaster. For example, in Zhejiang province in China, we already have a late forest scheme. So if in the spring season, if the temperature down to a certain degree, for example, 0 degree, and the farmers can automatically get some compensation. So we also published some books like the stress of the physiology of tea. This we published this year. And another book is already published by the FAO. And our work also was get attention by the Science magazine. And we also conduct some trainings in the China TV, with TV channels, also some trainings. And finally, I'd like to appreciate Mr. Kissing Zhang from FAO, also Dr. Selina Ahmad, Professor Colin Orleans, and Professor Steve from the American universities, and of course, my colleagues from my team. So thank you very much.
We have time for one question for Professor Han as we're switching over to our final speaker. So, Professor.
I'll just ask without the microphone. We're working with the top permaculture master with our project here, and my question to you is somebody like that valuable to you in your work in China? And maybe this is part of our exchange. We could offer the influence of permaculture practices to China as a mitigation avenue for issues that you're having in China, and perhaps we can create an exchange like this. Is this something that's useful? Are you applying permaculture techniques?
Yes. Do you mean the permaculture use the earthworm? No, is my correct? Do you mean use the earthworm to make the organic fertilizer?
There's many different techniques.
Okay.
Permaculture is a big subject, but it's an application that is used right now, and with our project, it's a central aspect that we're applying from the beginning to mitigate problems before they happen. So it's all about biodiversity and creating a biodiverse climate for the tea that automatically creates things that will mitigate the problem before it happens. So he's the master that we're working with is part of our team, and I think he can be somebody very valuable. And many of the things that you're addressing here, I see application of permaculture techniques could be amazingly useful, and it could turn the corner for a lot of issues that you're having in China.
Yeah, yes, it's true. So thank you. I think, yeah, we can cooperate. Thanks.
Thank you very much.